Well, he must be the most successful train robber in the Wild West. He's the leader of the Wild Bunch, and he's the originator of the Hole-in-the-Wall Hideout.
Butch Cassidy, truly a Wild West legend in life and death. But perhaps there's even more to his story than that meets the eye. What truly happened in that final shootout in the mountains of Bolivia. I'm Jake Storielli, and today's episode of Laughs from the Past, we'll dive into the remarkable story of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, two of the most successful, well-liked, and ingenious outlaws of the Wild West. Let's get cracking.
Welcome back to Laughs from the Past, Season 8, all about the Wild West. My name's Jimmy. That guy's name is Jake. He brought you the intro, a perfectionist at the Wild West, Sam Elliott, deep voice. And we're talking about
That
Butch.
one felt good.
It's
That
good.
felt like my deepest one yet.
I think the coffee helped.
Maybe it's just the contrast of starting high. And
Yes, you'll throw the high
drop that
fastball so
thing
the
down
low
to the
slider plays
floor.
better.
I'm here for one night. How? J. Cole. Luke knows. You're a big Butch Cassidy guy.
You remember when we drove cross country?
Yeah.
I read a book on Butch Cassidy while we drove. Very interesting. Billy the Kid and Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy and the Wild Bunch. There's a song by the band the Fleece Brothers about Butch Cassidy that I always think of when I hear him. So that's the
Huge.
first thing. Second thing is, a lot of people think Butch Cassidy faked his own death and is still alive. Or lived, not still alive now.
Right.
So I wonder if we touch on that.
Well, that's in the intro there, produced by Luke and Noah. Noah and Luke. Just Noah. Okay. Luke's dipped out. We've got Noah Prince
Written
on
by
the
Noah.
line.
Written by Noah. Luke's producing.
If we need clarification / someone to yell at us when we don't read the next paragraph ahead. But yeah, he mentioned in there what truly happened in that final shootout in the mountains of Bolivia. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's some rumor mill at the end.
Yeah. All right. Butch Cassidy. It's a good name. I got something in my throat that I would like
Good
to be
name.
out of my throat. Butch Cassidy grew up in a Mormon family in Utah. He was born as Robert Leroy Parker on April 13th, 1866 in Beaver, Utah Territory. His parents, Ann Gillies and Maximilian Parker, Max
for short.
Max Parker, and Gillies, were Mormons. That adds up.
Yeah.
Robert, the oldest child in a large family, grew up playing harmonica on home evenings when the family would read Mormon doctrine and play games. From the outside, they were seemingly normal Mormon family. When Robert was 8,
Oxymoron.
I was going to say it, but I thought maybe we shouldn't say
No,
it.
it's rude. It's rude. But
Okay. All right. When Robert was 8, his family homesteaded a large ranch outside of Circleville. What a dumb name.
Oh,
Circleville?
I like it.
Is there a Triangleville?
Hopefully.
Because that place sucks.
I mean, I grew up in a town called Middlebury, so everyone was that in the middle of the berries.
Kind of was.
Yeah,
It was
it
in
was.
the middle of Danbury. and
Very much
Waterbury.
was.
Yeah.
Woodbury, yeah.
Here, he became an expert cowboy and was a playful older brother to his younger siblings. The Parker family were not the most devout Mormon. It's rumored that they may have been involved in an illegal underground railroad, sheltering polygamous Mormon families from the U.S. government.
Okay.
That means that's, to me, it seems like they were devout.
Yeah, that's got me a little confused. And I think Underground Railroad is a little unfair to the Underground Railroad. Because, I mean...
Well, I think like that's just the most famous underground
concept.
railroad.
The concept,
of it
yes.
exists.
But
But that seems like they're very devout if they're trying to protect polygamous Mormons.
Right.
Seems like they're in deep. Cassidy's pseudonym that he would use later in life as an outlaw was, unsurprisingly, inspired by a cattle rustler. While working on a nearby cattle ranch as a teenager, Robert met a man who would alter the course of his life forever. Anyone in your life you can say that about?
I was having a funny thought process of like
Each other?
why you can't do stuff when you're a kid. Because, like, I don't know, would I have changed my name to, like, Bernie Williams at some point? Or, like, Derek Jeter? Like, probably.
She goes deep.
Like, if I was 8? Why not? You don't really realize that.
My question was, is there anyone in your life that you could say, I met him, it changed my life forever?
I mean, every person.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of heavy the other way.
Guy at the bodega?
Yeah.
What's his name?
We're friends. We wave at each other now.
That's nice.
Yeah.
When you walk into
It's
the
really
store?
nice. Yesterday when we went to the other place that wasn't the bodega, when we walked past, we saw each other and we waved.
That's nice.
And I turned to
He was
BBD
mad at you,
Zach.
though, because we had bags in our hand.
No. He gets it.
Yeah.
He doesn't eat there every day.
He doesn't eat at his own shop ever.
Exactly.
Yeah. He gets it. He goes to the other one. Yeah. Okay. Mike Cassidy, cowboy by trade, outlaw cattle rustler by choice, seems to have indoctrinated the restless Robert into the lucrative business of stealing livestock. Cowboy by trade, outlaw by choice. Cowboy by choice at two, I think, unless you're born into it. Maybe that's what we're saying. At the age of 18, Robert, probably on the run from crimes committed with Mike Cassidy or alone, either or,
Yeah.
left the family home and left this note for his mother. Jake?
So he's 18 here.
Yeah.
Ma, there's not much here for me. No future. Pay in Utah's low. You know that.
You know that.
Maybe $20 or $30 a month with board.
But you knew that.
And the board's not much to brag about in most places. There's no excitement around here. I'm not a kid anymore. Gotta be thinking about my future.
I think about this a lot
Sure.
when I have kids and they grow up to be 18.
Right.
Because I told it to my parents.
Sure.
And when you're like 18, 19, you're like, I'm not a kid anymore, Mom.
Right.
And like, you just got to bite your tongue. Parents just got to bite their tongue and be like, okay, you're right. Like, you're such a fucking kid at 18.
They just need to highlight the tweener area more because they just label it as your teenage years. Like, that's kind of like, you're still a teenager. You can still drop that at 19.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're dumb till you're 25. A lot of people are still dumb till they're 25.
Life lessons. Life
Yes.
lesson-wise.
Like,
I
you just don't know.
definitely was.
Yeah.
Like, there's a hard line at probably around 25.
Yeah, because, I mean, I go back to my Dallas times when, I mean...
And that's the tail end of it for you, which was my Walnut Creek times.
Right, and I mean, I had a car, I had my own apartment, I was technically a real part of society, but at the same time, I very much was not.
Yeah.
And I mean, 18 back then is probably the 25 now.
Yeah, that's true.
Luke, good listening. You too, Noah. Handsome bitch.
There's a picture of Butch as a teen, and he looks good, man. He looks like a model.
He looks good.
He looks really good there.
Like 18-year-old, and I should give Butch a little more credit. I think 18-year-old Butch has 25-year-old Jake in man years beat.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
Oh, yeah. Wow, there's some pretty good pictures of Butch Cassidy. His jaw kept growing wide. Got like a Lego head. Anyway, we'll keep going. Robert would soon enter a life of Wild West crime, cattle rustling, and other petty offenses. But in 1889, he would ride into the big leagues, successfully robbing the San Miguel Valley Bank in Telluride with associates Matt Werner and Tom McCarty. A witness recalled seeing Butch in the weeks before the robbery, spending hours teaching his horse to stand calmly while he ran and vaulted into the saddle. Butch and his pals also constructed special leather bags to carry the loot. Why did they have...
They're special.
And they painstakingly laid out an escape route in advance, bolstered by relay teams of fresh horses. What did you have to create a new bag to carry the loot?
Why not? Why you got to be against the bag? Carry more loot.
You just need a bag with two loops, like a plastic grocery bag, right?
Sure.
And you put like the loop one through the other, so it kind of closes tight at the top there, like drawstring bag, basically.
Maybe that's what they made. I mean, we're also mid-1800s, so bag technology was not high.
Well, I don't know, man.
People probably made a leather bag for fucking anything they needed.
You got to remember, 1800, they had skyscrapers. They had like big ass fucking bridges.
Not in Utah. Not in the farms of Utah.
They might have. They definitely had bags. It's weird that they had to design their own special bag to carry the loot.
It carries more loot. I like it.
How many times did the horse move while he was trying to run and jump onto it? And he was like, I'm going to kick your fucking ass, horse. You stay still.
I think Butch and his horse had a much better relationship than you're depicting.
I
They were
mean,
tight.
he spent hours teaching his horse to stand calmly while he ran and vaulted into the saddle. I guess hours is pretty good. Like I would expect it to be days.
Yeah.
Good job, horse. This shrewd attention to detail would become a hallmark of robberies committed by the soon-to-be-named Wild Bunch. Great name. A-plus name. With his entry into serious crime, Robert changed his name to protect himself and his family's honor. That's awesome.
Noble.
He chose Cassidy in honor of his mentor, Mike Cassidy. Sucks for the Cassidy family.
And it's kind of an easy connect the dot if we're being honest.
Yeah, it's not like a pseudonym.
Yeah, you can piece that together at the end of the day.
But Butch was not his personal choice. I took a job in Rock Springs in the butcher shop when I was needed to lay low for a while, he told a friend years later. Matt Warner nicknamed me Butch. He thought it was a big joke. Yeah.
Is Butch out?
As a name?
Yeah.
Because it became a term for
Yeah, it's
a
like
person.
a mean. It's like
Yeah.
you're ugly, right? Or no, it's like if a lady's acting male-like. So
Well,
is any of it nice to say? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you're spinning a web. But yeah, it's like a tomboy adult woman
'Cause,
is
like,
what it was used for.
There's a baseball player, Butch Husky, that his real name is Robert Leon, but he went by Butch. But we haven't seen a Butch in a while, so I don't know. I just don't know if we're going to see more Butches.
Current people named Butch. Butch Hartman.
Not familiar.
That's the guy who does the voices for Timmy Turner.
Oh, Butch Walker is a musician I like.
Okay.
So he's out there.
How old is he?
He was born in 1969.
Okay. Butch Husky was born in 1971.
Nice.
So, Butches might be done.
Butch Otter.
Maybe they'll have a comeback.
Maybe. You never know. Where the hell was I? Okay, so Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, and the Wild Bunch. Here we go. In 1896, after a stint in jail, Cassidy went right back to his old ways. It was sometime after his release when Cassidy met a stoic, handsome, East Coast-born former cowboy turned outlaw named Harry Longabaugh. Is it Longabaugh? Longbow?
Longbow?
It's a name that people listening to this will be very upset if I continuously say it wrong. So I feel like Longabaugh sounds right because it's got an A in it. You know, but Longbow seems more. Longabaugh.
Longabaugh.
Longabaugh. That's what we're going with.
Yeah, have to.
Soon to be known as the Sundance Kid. That's a great nickname. Cassidy now had a posse of outlaw acolytes who liked to rob banks and trains, as well as party off their riches. During one celebration, the members of the Wild Bunch snuck uninvited into a high-end party dressed as waiters, much to the amusement of friend Ann Bassett. And she described the events as such.
Poor Butch.
It's good.
Poor Butch. He could perform such minor jobs as robbing banks and holding up pay trains without the flicker of an eyelash. But serving coffee at a grand party was something else for him. The blood-curdling job almost floored him. He became panicky and showed that his nerve was completely shot to bits. The boys went into a huddle in the kitchen and instructed Butch in the more formal art of filling coffee cups at the table. This just shows how etiquette can put fear into a brave man's heart.
I was listening to your accent more than I was figuring out what she was saying.
Me as well.
Okay, so I have to reread that.
Yeah. I think they're saying this is supposed to be highlighting that Butch is such a man, tough guy, bank robber. This is what he does, that he didn't know how to pour coffee properly, I believe.
Yeah. Oh, I think they're saying that in high society, he got very nervous about like fucking up, pouring wrong. And then he needed like lessons in it.
Yeah.
That's fair. You hang around people, you want to be rich and you want to hang out with the rich, but you know you don't have the class and the decorum.
People like being comfortable.
Yeah. The Wild Bunch, the Sundance Kid on the bottom left, Butch on the right. We're looking at a picture. Hopefully producer Luke can put it on the screen as we look at it. What do you got? They look pretty good, man.
It's a good picture. I mean, that's, I don't know. Like, there's a starting five right there that's impressive. You got one guy with the tilted hat. You've got one guy with the big mustache, a couple side mustache. I mean, everyone's got their own thing going on, even though it's the exact same thing, if that makes sense.
I'm trying to...
Nobody sticks out as a huge loser. Like, you kind of get the vibe of this crew without in just one picture. I like it.
Butch Cassidy looks like a young Kurt Russell. So if you ever see Tombstone,
Sure.
Kurt Russell played Wyatt Earp in Tombstone, and he looks like Butch Cassidy here.
Okay.
Butch Cassidy also doesn't look like the leader of this gang, but then he kind of does for that reason. Like the guy in the middle looks like the leader.
I think they're just going kind of tall guy rules. He looks like he's the tallest, so
Yeah.
he's the middle.
That's kind of, I guess I have him as leader for that reason.
Yeah.
Which one was Sundance? Bottom left?
He's in there.
Minus weird eyes, skinny mustache dude.
Yeah.
We got an attractive gang here.
It's a good look. I
Yeah.
mean, top right's the clear weirdo for me.
Yeah, he's out.
But,
His
but
mustache
I
is
like him.
His mustache is bigger than both his lips.
I like him.
Yeah. He's the oddball. You need a wild card.
Wild card.
Go follow Laughs from the Past on Twitter and Instagram as I find my spot in the article. Producer Luke's been doing good stuff on the Twitter and the Instagram. Go follow.
I think you're here, right?
Yes. The Wild Bunch and the Sundance Kid on the bottom left. I've already read that. Thanks to Cassidy's thorough planning, the Wild Bunch pulled off successful after successful robbery. Cassidy and the Wild Bunch notoriety grew as they racked up a staggering average of $35,000 per robbery, around $900,000 today. That's crazy.
Per robbery.
Although current historians surmise the bunch probably only robbed 4 banks, 4 express trains, and a coal company payroll office, they were soon blamed for every robbery in the Northwest. Unlike many of the other gangs of the time, and contrary to their name, the Wild Bunch were actually a very meticulous bunch. Oh, we're talking about the planning and all that.
Yeah, and that's always one of my fascinations with this thing is like, you know, we're saying each of these added up to 1 million robberies, but we've got them confirmed around 10. But, you know, if there was a robbery, it got blamed for this. Was there a crew that robbed a bank, got 1 million, and does kind of what we've talked about as the fake robber's dream and just like tapped out? It was like, hey.
I think robbers and bands and gangs in this day really wanted the notoriety. Like from what we've learned, these guys made names for themselves. So I almost feel like, because at first I was thinking there's a new...
That's the unknown, right? That's the whole unknown part of it.
I was thinking there might be a gang that robbed and like they got credited to the Wild Bunch and they were like, great, cool, we got off free.
Right.
But I think there's also gangs that got robbed.
Like there was one future thinking gang that was like, hey, guys, I think we don't want to be known for this.
There's a scene in the Jesse James movie American Outlaws that is probably fiction and not fact, but it's funny. Is they write the wanted posters for the James Younger game, and one guy just looks like terrible. Like it doesn't look like him at all. So they go to rob the next bank, and he never talks in any bank robbery, but he's like, and I'm Bob Younger, and I look like this. Yeah. And then they see the wanted poster at the next place, and it looks good. And he's like, okay, good.
Worked.
Yeah. So notoriety was big for some people, but yeah, a lot of people could have been doing the Wild Bunch's notoriety business for him because I think it's a win-win. Wild Bunch wants to be known.
Right.
They have a good name. So if people are robbing in their name, they're probably like, sweet.
Fuck it.
Yeah, we did that one. Sure. Hell yeah.
It's easy for the cops. Like,
you almost
they
actually
got us.
You almost actually like invent a minor league robbing team.
Know what the only problem is? I mean, you'd probably feel bad because you're probably robbing, like, your town's bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you probably, like, know all the people from the town. So you'd probably feel pretty bad. Be like guilt.
I think you get a minor league robbing team, and
Is there insurance and stuff?
you train them, and you say, go rob. You're not going to get any of the credit, but you can keep like 80% of the loot.
Sure.
And we get the credit. We'll up our...
I think that's called the mafia.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Organized crime, for sure.
Sure.
Little was left to chance during the actual robbery. Butch and a few selected gang members would spend days, sometimes weeks, scouting a robbery site and the best escape route. Wisely, they always chose the summer months for all their holdups, when the weather was favorable for eluding law enforcement posses, as they had free movement and couldn't be slowed by cold weather and storms. It appears that Cassidy actively avoided killing. Huge win.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We like that.
Although shots were fired during escapes, Butch was never known to have shot anyone during a holdup. The closest Butch ever came to harming a robbery victim was when he used explosives to force his way into an express car during one of their train robberies, and a few of the train employees were hurt. During nearly all their robberies, the gang always warned people inside the car or building when they would use dynamite, urging them to move away from the blast center. This is who the public tried to make Jesse James out to be.
Right.
The nice bank robber doesn't... But Jesse James was a fucking murderer. This is awesome, if true.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, you're still stealing money, and I don't know. I'm also wondering, just playing the other side of it, because shots were fired. Were a couple of these guys just terrible shots?
Could be.
You know?
But maybe they never practiced because they
never went for a kill shot? I don't know.
This picture of Butch looks so different than the other one where he's with the five of them. That
It's a huge jaw.
Yeah. He looks like Tim Riggins' brother in this photo.
A little bit.
Yeah, huge jaw. That picture scares me because of how, like, relatable it is. Like, yeah, I've seen a guy look like that on the street.
Sure.
You know? The Hole-in-the-Wall Hideout. Next chapter. Perhaps one of the most ingenious moves by Butch and his Wild Bunch was their usage of the Hole-in-the-Wall Hideout in Johnson County, Wyoming. Gangs of the Wild West faced a curious challenge. In general, it was relatively easy to actually conduct robberies. Law enforcement was sparse, and there was only so much manpower that could actively patrol the American West. The hard part came post-robbery, how to store the riches, and more importantly, how to lay low and not make a scene.
Amen.
As good as they were at planning out train robberies, Butch and the boys were even better at the second part. Connected by a desolate pass in the Bighorn Mountains, the Hole-in-the-Wall Hideout was a small area with a cabin, livery stable, and livestock, and the gang would maintain and use often for long periods of time. The area was remote and secluded, easily defended because of its narrow passes, and impossible for lawmen to approach without alerting the outlaws. This story's got it all right now. We got nonviolent, when they, hopefully nonviolent.
Some people probably want the violence.
Well, for me, it's perfect.
Right.
A cool hideout, getaway,
Yeah.
where you lay low on the lam. I almost want to see if there's like a Google Maps of where this was.
Gotta be. Johnson County, Wyoming.
Yeah. Hole in the Wall, Johnson County, Wyoming. Map. 6 Google reviews, 4.5 stars. Wyoming's pretty, man.
Oh, yeah.
Got pictures of it and stuff. Oh, really? In the mountains? Okay, yeah, we're like, yes. Cool. Love it. I don't know if Luke can put the map on here, but like deep into like those red mountains that they have in Wyoming. Even better was that other gangs learned of this hideout. Rather than fighting Butch for it, they would strike a deal. Oh, this is getting risky.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Getting more people involved.
This loose group of gangs soon became known as the Hole-in-the-Wall Gang. the gangs formed a coalition. So we are doing mafia stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Each planning and carrying out its own robberies with very little interaction with the other gangs. But they each maintained the hideout so that there was a constant source of livestock and materials that could be used at any time. This is very cool. I'm very into this story. I didn't know all of this about Butch Cassidy. That's kind of cool. But, I mean, yeah, you get too many people in there. We're scared.
And this is kind of, we talked about this on John Boy Jake Radio. Go check that out if you don't.
Plug.
But this is kind of like a bad guy utopia.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, you can learn a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like winter meetings where all the baseball minds get together.
You need
but it's
to
like,
live here.
Let's have a little session. How do you guys do it? This is how we do it.
Yeah.
Oh, you kill people? Oh, we don't kill people.
We don't kill.
No way you don't kill people. No, we don't kill people.
You need a cow? There's a horse.
Yeah. No lawman ever successfully entered it to capture outlaws during its more than 50 years active existence from 1860 to 1910, nor were any lawmen attempting to infiltrate it by use of undercover techniques successfully. Why not? They should have done that. Ooh, the hideout today. Of course.
They said successfully, so maybe there were attempts.
Okay, I like that. Of course there's pictures of the hideout today. And it is cool. It's just a little town. And not a town, it's just, sucks for the horses that just stuck there. Ooh, the Pinkerton detectives are getting involved, Jake. They're big. Despite their ingenuity, the powerful railroad companies were soon hot on the Wild Bunch's trail. One of Pinkerton Detective Agency's top detectives, Charlie Siringo, who called Cassidy the shrewdest and most daring outlaw of the present age, trailed the gang all over the West, often himself posing as an outlaw to search for the robbers and find leads. So he went undercover. Charlie Siringo.
They're on the hunt.
A break for the Pinkerton agents came as the result of a rare misstep by the group. In 1900, turn of the century,
Yeah.
some of the Wild Bunch was in Texas to visit their favorite brothels and blow off some steam.
In there.
They decided to get a formal... You're talking about being young in Texas.
Yeah.
There you go.
Blow off some steam.
They decided to get a formal portrait taken as a joke. This picture of the Sundance Kid, Will Carver, Ben Kilpatrick, Harvey Logan, and Cassidy was a rare misstep for them. It's the picture from above that we were talking. Okay, so now we know all their names. That's cool. Will Carver seems like the tall guy there. I don't know. A Wells Fargo agent... Wild guess. A Wells Fargo agent recognized the outlaws when the photo was displayed in the photographer's Fort Worth studio window, and the Pinkerton agents were immediately notified. The picture was soon on wanted posters all throughout the West. I feel like they wanted that.
This is tough. Because...
I feel like they wanted the fame, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see that angle. I think the irony here is that every human's natural instinct when they see now those Old West photography booths, whether it's at like an amusement park or wherever it is.
I like them.
Yeah, you see it. Everyone initially likes them. You're like, that would be fun, right? And then you say, how much is it? And everyone has their number in their head.
Yeah.
And
they're like $40.
Yeah, again, that's your number. Some are a lot more expensive. Some are like hundreds. So I think that's funny that everyone has their number in their head, and these guys on this day saw it, and they're like, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
$5, we've got fucking millions in the bank. Let's take some pics with our bros.
They dressed up nice.
And that's their downfall.
Part
of their
I'm
downfall.
just noticing the dude in the back left's hands are on, like, their shoulders weird.
That's classic.
The other guy's only going...
Your buddies.
And I like this picture because you can tell Sundance is... Or not, you can tell Butch is smiling. Like they took this as a joke, and they're all like, be serious, be serious. And Butch Cassidy's got a little smirk on his face.
Having a good time with the boys.
I like it. Mustache crew looking at the wrong camera. Mustache is weird.
That's
I
obvious.
mean, come on, dude. Fix yourself. By 1900, it appears Cassidy was tired of life on the run. Later in life, a lawyer claimed Cassidy came to visit him at this time, curious if he could get a pardon and settle down for good. When he was told it would be impossible, Cassidy was understanding. "You know the law, and I guess you're right," he said, "but I'm sorry it can't be fixed some way. You'll never know what it means to be forever on the dodge."
Yeah. I know that's trying to be romantic to Cassidy, that like he wants to live a normal life, but you spent years robbing banks. Like you don't know what it's like being on the run. Well, yeah. You're on the run because you fucking robbed a lot of money, dude. Like,
Not a lot of sympathy
no
going your
sympathy.
way.
Yeah, dude.
Do you believe this? This kind of lends itself into the, hey, he was a professional robber, but he didn't like harm people, and he was like, kind of had a good head
That's
about him.
kind of the angle. Like, this
Too
is what he
much.
was born to do.
It's
like,
leaning into it too much. I don't buy it.
Yeah, you can't.
It depends what he went into that meeting like. If he knew that it wasn't going to happen, he's like just giving it. He's like throwing it a shot. He's like,
That's
"Hey,
funny.
Is there any
Yeah,
chance
yeah,
I can
that's
get
fun.
a pardon?"
Yeah, that's funny.
I would say the one thing that would be the full plot twist, and it's the catch me if you can, is if Butch Cassidy says like, "Hey, I did this and I'm kind of the GOAT. I'm ready to join your guys' team. Like, I'll help you guys catch bad guys."
You guys don't even know about our fucking hideout. It's badass.
Well, you can't give away the hideout.
Hole in the wall.
Let's not jump there. You can't
I
give
mean,
away
you
the
do
hideout.
it.
You can take everything but the hideout.
Well, he lets everyone else know, like, hey, I'm gonna tell
And
him about the hideout. So just go make a new one somewhere else, and I'm out.
And I think that's the other thing. I mean, if there is the hideout, like, Cassidy couldn't just stay there. No law enforcement ever went up there. He couldn't just relax in the Wyoming hills.
But he stole millions. He wants to just chill and live a normal life now.
I don't know. No sympathy here. Butch.
The hideout's so cool. Can you go there?
Sure.
I think it'd be like cool for 2 seconds. You'd be like, all right, I saw it.
It's a long trip to go see
Long
that.
trip to get into the middle of nowhere. The Wild Bunch pulled their last major robbery at the First National Bank of Winnemucca, Nevada, on September 19th, 1900. According to Patterson, Cassidy managed to charm the populace yet again, even in the midst of planning and executing the robbery. One boy who was charmed was 10-year-old Vic Button, whose father managed a ranch east of a town where the outlaws camped. He said the outlaw gave him candy and treats as they laid low at the ranch and planned the robbery. Button also said that one day when he told Butch how much he admired his horse, Butch replied that someday he might give it to him. A few days later, Butch kept his word. Following the robbery, as the three outlaws were changing to fresh horses, Butch told the cowboy who had been attending the animals to give his winded horse to the young boy rather than sell it.
Look at that.
We're on a pretty good Butch is a great guy,
Right.
but he just steals money.
Just steals money from
right.
people.
Feels like we need like one bad story. Like he accidentally killed one guy,
Well, that's kind of
something.
what he's not getting, and I get it. You can be nice to a little kid, but, like what I was saying about those quiet people stealing from their towns and have to look at the townspeople every day and be like, oh, I stole that guy's money. Like, Butch has none of that in him.
If Butch accidentally killed somebody, he would turn himself in the next day. That's the Butch that we've been...
That's what they're telling us.
That's what they're
basically.
being depicted. And, like, again, what stories got lost in history, I don't know.
Yeah. I just Googled, was Butch Cassidy a bad guy?
Okay.
Nothing came up.
Good for him.
More likely than not, this particular robbery was likely planned to fund a new life in South America, far from the encroaching Pinkerton detectives. In 1901, Cassidy and the Sundance Kid bought property in Cholila, Argentina, under assumed names. They were joined on their new ranch by the mysterious, beautiful Etta Place, Sundance's girlfriend, and according to some, Cassidy's unrequited love. Oh, we got a love triangle here.
Yeah.
In his typical glib manner, Cassidy wrote to his friend Matilda Davis back in America about his new setup. And this is what he wrote.
Another of my uncles. What voice was that?
That was good,
He
man.
was weird. Butch Davis had a weird voice. Another of my uncles died and left $30,000 to our little family of 3. So I took my $10,000 and started to see a little more of the world. I visited the best cities and the best parts of the country of South America. And this part of the country looks so good that I located. And I think for good. For I like the place better every day.
I really like this story. Just to let you know.
Okay, I'm glad.
There's
Kind of the goal.
a picture of Etta Place, and she's got like this like sassy bitch face on. Like, I'm uninterested in you, leave me alone.
Sure.
And I'm super into it.
Yeah.
Look at it. Like, you can tell if she smiled and looked modern, you'd probably be like an
Ooh.
attractive girl.
She looks hostile there.
Hostile, like mad at you, which makes me more intrigued. Like, are we really taking my picture? And then there's this picture. I don't know if we have this. That they're saying is a real picture of the 3 of them. Do you see this, Luke? It looks like it's from a movie set, but also, I don't know.
Yeah, tough to say. Could be. The whole mysterious ending.
I like that picture. All right, here we go. I'm excited to get this. So the money he was referring to was the riches from the robbery of the First National Bank. A mysterious ending in Bolivia. The next chapter. On November 3rd, 1908. So we're like 8 years. They've been in South America, basically. At least
believe.
7. Just like chilling. Like, I'm cool. I love this story. On November 3rd, 1908, a courier was carrying a bank payroll unguarded over the winding roads of San Vicente, Bolivia. No sooner had he exited the small town was he attacked by 2 masked English-speaking bandits and robbed. Days later, witnesses to the crime would become suspicious when they saw a mule that had been with the 2 robbers chained up at a formerly abandoned small boarding house not too far from the scene of the crime. How are we recognizing mules?
You see a mule, you recognize a mule.
Had to be like a spotted mule.
No, I think
Jimmy, it actually had the logo of the mining company that it was stolen from on the side of it. Thought that was,
branded in?
They weren't clear if it was branded or if it was like a little
was
coat
wearing.
people worn. But yeah, that's a whole black hole that I went down for a couple minutes.
If it was just a saddle, there's no way Butch Cassidy didn't take like the branded saddle off. You know what I mean? Like the logo.
Yeah. I'm just glad that there was an identifier.
And I think, like, again, towns are a lot smaller.
But mules, plentiful. Bolivia, it's the mule factory of the world. That's what they call it.
And that's...
Good? I haven't Googled it. So it's
myth.
Schrodinger's cat right now. Could be true, could not.
Stamped.
Myth busted. According to local reports, soldiers, the police chief, the local mayor, and some of his officials all surrounded the lodging house on the evening of November 6th, intending to arrest these unknown robbers. As a Bolivian soldier approached the hideout, one of the Americans inside shot him dead. A brief exchange of gunfire ensued. After it subsided, San Vicente Mayor Cleto Bello reported hearing 3 screams of desperation. Ah! 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 Followed by a single gunshot, then another from inside the house. When the Bolivian authorities cautiously entered the hideout, they found the bodies of the 2 foreigners. The man thought to be Sundance Kid was slumped against a wall with bullet wounds in his body and a gunshot to his forehead. The man believed to be Cassidy was next to him on the floor with a bullet hole to his temple. Contrary to the famous 1969 film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, in which the outlaws go down in a blaze of glory amid a hail of bullets, it appeared that Cassidy had shot his wounded partner between the eyes to put him out of his misery before turning the gun on himself. The site they supposedly died out. Very similar to like Wyoming, just middle of fucking nowhere. But were these 2 really Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Right now, also because I want it to not be them.
Sure.
Well, everything we've been told, meticulous, planning,
Sure.
escape routes. You're not taking a branded mule to the middle of the town and then
Old over it in Bolivia for 7 years. Ran out of money would be the counter.
if you have that much money in Bolivia, I mean, what's that word?
I mean, you could spend that
What's
money.
the word I'm looking for?
You could spend that money quick when you're in the mule capital of the world.
Yeah.
They
But
say.
they stole the branded mule.
You don't know that.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Like translator?
Like when
Translation?
money, currency, you go from one to
Calculator?
another.
The value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$1 million American is probably like, whew.
Right.
That's seen in Euro Trip where they're rich.
Sure.
I got like pennies. None of the authorities positively identified the two men as Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid before their reported burial in an unmarked grave in a San Vicente cemetery. Although descriptions of the deceased bandits sent to the Pinkerton agency bore some resemblance to the legendary robbers, no photographs of the bodies were ever taken to provide proof. I mean, it also could be two white guys died and the Pinkertons just wanted to win.
Sure.
That's them.
Pinkertons wanted to win, or hey, maybe somebody was getting close to them and they told the Bolivia police, hey, we'll throw you some coin.
Yeah.
Kill these white guys.
They
Say
killed
it's us.
themselves. So
Don't take any pictures.
they didn't even allow an officer to see them.
I mean, they were dead.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if we're going to get to it, but the thing I know is that they found two other white Americans, dressed them up like them, set this whole thing up, killed those two guys, and then went on the run. Is like a theory that I've read.
Sure.
And the fact that
Let's
the
get
Bolivian police didn't even get in there is crazy. Or goes to that. All right. No photographs, all that. Furthermore, reports would surface in the following years that they were still alive, living their lives underground. Cassidy's sister, Lula Parker Butenson, admitted that the outlaw had returned to the family ranch in Circleville, Utah in 1925 to visit his ailing father and attend a family wedding. I mean, that seems huge. According to Butenson, Cassidy told the family that a friend of his had planted the story that one of the men killed in Bolivia was him so that he would no longer be pursued. She claimed that Cassidy lived in the state of Washington under an alias until his death in 1937. Butenson said her brother was buried in an unmarked grave in a location that was kept a family secret. But these were just stories. What about concrete evidence that the men killed were not Cassidy and Sundance? Nearly 70 years after the supposed death of Cassidy, legendary forensic anthropologist Clyde Snow, you guys all know him.
Yeah, he's the guy who didn't he identify Joseph Mengele?
Yeah, he's identified a lot of people. Right. He's like, you want someone identified, you call Clyde Snow. And people know that. And Clyde Snow, he had conclusively identified the remains of Nazi war criminal Joseph Mengele. Yeah, great. I mean, that was crazy.
Thank you.
You did know that. Received permission from Bolivian authorities to exhume the robbers' bodies and test their DNA against descendants to search for a match. What a weird job.
It's an odd job.
Can I dig up the two men that were killed?
There's a new show on one of the main channels that, like, it's a lady that does this stuff. It's like half cool, half podcast, half
unreal.
Yeah.
Picture of Clyde Snow. I mean, he is exactly who you want him to be.
Yeah.
Do you see this?
Yeah.
That's a famous exhumer.
That's like
Indiana Jones of bodies.
Should be renamed. Like, was renamed later in life. Like, his first name was Earl Patrick, and they were like, no.
Look at
Clyde
you.
Snow.
Clyde Snow. Oh. Need some more Clyde Snow stories. Okay, so authorities were reportedly pretty sure that the grave they had selected was the one the two mysterious robbers were buried in. But there was a chance they were wrong. So, hot start. We think this is where the bodies are, but it could be other people, but fucking...
I'm hoping that information didn't get to Clyde Snow till he got down there.
Have at it, Clyde.
So wait, you don't know if this is them or not?
Yeah.
I'm Clyde Snow.
I'm Clyde Snow.
If you give me the body, I'll figure it out.
Nice to meet you. I'm Clyde Snow.
I'm Clyde Snow.
He says it like it's like, you should know my name, and then he should. Nearly 70. I mean, is this another paragraph that starts, or where am I? I'm pretty sure I gave 2 mysterious, but there's a chance I'm wrong. Clyde elected to go ahead and exhume the bodies anyway. Who knows? What I mean, dude, Clyde. This means nothing because you don't know. Unless they hit a match. I guess that's what he's searching for. Well, if it's a match, it's a match. After a detailed forensic analysis and a comparison of DNA to the relatives of Cassidy and Longabow, Snow found there was no match. The skeletons were instead likely to have been that of 2 German miners who had worked in the area. But, like, we didn't know if it was the right grave, and that's kind of where it gets tricky, you know. But there was German miners who worked in the area. That's a nice piece of information. While possible that the bodies of the iconic desperados remain buried elsewhere in the San Vicente Cemetery or even outside of its walls.
Hold on, I have a question.
Yes.
Sure. Can't he not tell if he's the world-famous exhumer when he gets these bodies open? It's like, oh, yeah, these are the 2 bodies that had 1 bullet hole through the head and 1 bullet hole.
It's a great call.
I don't know how a body decomposes. I'd assume you could still tell that after years. I mean, this guy's good at DNA. This guy's not good at murder stuff.
But I think also, Luke, if you go back and read, like when they were buried pretty hastily and not like in a proper coffin and everything. So I think they kind of I think it's kind of there's not much there.
You'd like to, it would have been awesome if they were like, well, here's a skull with a bullet hole in it. Right. These are definitely the 2 bodies, and they don't match. That would have been awesome.
Yeah,
I'm guessing it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
The skull was probably like in pieces and, you know, termites or whatever.
Termites? Mules.
While possible that the bodies of the iconic desperados remained somewhere else in San Vicente, the fact remains that we have no concrete proof that Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid were killed in Bolivia. That's, I think, the biggest thing. Like,
sure,
it shouldn't be automatic that they were them because there's nothing that supports it besides someone saying maybe that was them.
As
cool.
Much data as there is data yes.
And, you know, why would the sister just straight up lie if her brother did die? Just to be in the newspapers again?
Yeah, I mean, there's clout chasing. There's always been that, but...
I think this is Noah's thoughts. These your thoughts, Noah?
Yes.
Noah's thoughts.
Noah's thoughts are... Noah, you want to tell us your thoughts or you want me to read your thoughts?
You can read them. I want to hear you react.
Okay, Noah's thoughts are, I usually don't believe these types of they secretly survive type stories, but this holds more truth than usual. Some reasons to believe from my perspective. I agree with you too, Noah. Like, Jesse James was another one where they searched for the...
People want the story to live on.
Yeah.
So they're going to hope a lot of the stories. This has a good base.
Yeah. Like we're saying, there's really no argument that there's
right
the same amount of arguments on both sides.
Same argument.
All right, Noah's list here. 1, none of the actions of the 2 American outlaws in Bolivia fit the modus operandi of Butch and Sundance at all, which that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Meticulous, planned. They like robbed big banks and businesses, not just some people on the street.
Sure.
If they're going to go get some money, I think they're going to find a establishment.
I think Noah has it laid out here.
A, the robbery of the courier seemed unplanned, with plenty of witnesses around. Not the way they ever worked. They also had plenty of money. If they were going to commit a robbery in South America, they would have done it properly. B, the shooting of the approaching Bolivian soldier was totally unlike them. Both the violence and the desperation of it did not fit how they lived their lives. C, hiding out near the scene of the robbery, also very unlike them. Noah's convincing me.
They were known for having like the best hideout so far away in the mountains. Why would they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why?
This sounds like some dumb German miners if I've ever heard it.
Also, did we just lose the girlfriend? Like, where'd she go in the story? Wasn't she with them in Bolivia?
You saw how mad she was in that picture.
She just disappeared.
Good point, Jake.
Thank you, Noah. Pay attention. It's my strength. But the other thing, the money thing is kind of throwing me off, and I threw this out as a little bit devil's advocate before. But we've talked about how much money they have, yet they did that one last bank robbery in Nevada. Like, did they really have so much money that 5 guys need to do one more bank robbery? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was just like one more stash and we're out.
Right. But
here's the thing. I don't know. No. Here's why. This is
sure
a serious take, I think.
Yes.
You want to do your last one. Like, you don't want to be like, we quit. I guess that was our last one. You want to kind of go out with like,
That's
let's
fair.
do one more.
I'm okay with that.
Go out one more, one more party, like a
Right.
bachelor party. Like you have one final.
And
this
if that
our
is
last.
Butch Cassidy's life skill is robbing banks,
exactly.
You're gonna go out on your own terms.
Yeah. I'm not just stopping.
Sure,
That last
no.
one kind of sucked.
That's fine.
That was 3 years ago. That's our last one.
Yeah,
That's fair.
Okay, I like it. 2 on Noah's list here. South America in general was a haven for American outlaws in the southern U.S. that were on the run in the 19th century. It wouldn't be surprising that 2 different outlaws were also hiding out in Bolivia and were the ones involved in the robbery and shootout. Yeah, I mean, it could have been anyone. We don't have pictures.
Yeah.
We don't have. No one saw. No one heard. Like, we don't know anything about these guys.
All we do know is that they were American. That's the only true thing that came out of the report from Bolivia, apparently.
Mr. Snow's report.
According to like the Bolivian robber, who probably doesn't even speak English.
Well, no,
you know
I
what
think-
I mean, if I hear like Portuguese and I hear Spanish, I can't tell you exactly.
I think
like,
we're going on to Dr. Snow there. Like when Snow digs up the bodies, he can tell what country they're from.
How?
It's like genetics, man.
Didn't he say they're German? But they did say they were English speaking.
Yeah.
The-
But
the
I'm saying
first-hand-
like
the first-hand accounts from the robbery. But I get what you're saying.
Like if someone speaks Japanese to me and someone speaks Chinese to me, I cannot be like, they were Chinese, the people that robbed me. I'd be like, they're speaking another language.
Right, but I think they could do like DNA stuff on your heritage and figure out if you're Japanese or Chinese.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm saying the whole thing of them being American speaking
Right.
stems from just a guy in Bolivia.
Right.
Well, who knows?
Sure.
3. The DNA is pretty interesting evidence. Even though we don't know for sure that was the grave, the fact that the DNA evidence didn't match means we can't definitely prove it was them. Yeah, there's no proof it was them. Cool. Noah's convinced. I think they lived. I think there's a lot of stories about them popping up places. Like we had the sister,
Right.
Butch Cassidy.
My biggest questions, because I think it's a lot easier to believe that Bolivia was not the end for them, is A, where'd the girlfriend go? Where's our girl Etta? B, yeah, I mean, why not? You know, they were planners, like you said, and, you know, maybe they did 7 years in Bolivia and wanted to ditch, and maybe they set this up. Maybe they just had no involvement in this whatsoever. And like you're saying, that crew, the Jettison, who tries to capture people, the Pinkertons, like they just kind of wanted to call it net a win, like it's over.
I think so. They just tacked on.
Yeah.
You know? Dude, I think that picture is maybe from the movie of the 3 of them. No, I think that picture might really be them, man, which is kind of cool. She looks very pretty. I have a ton of pictures of Clyde Snow
Sure.
that I need you to see.
Okay.
And I almost need to like learn more about him, but let me organize these. And I've already showed you that one. There were so many good ones. Where are they? First, look at this one.
Sure. Him, couple skulls in front of him. Missing his signature hat.
Action shot.
Him in a hole, holding something.
I think it's not a skull. I don't know what that is. But Clyde Snow Google image is a funny search. There's one of him like, look at this one, putting together skulls like a puzzle piece.
It's a good time.
What a job. All right. I think that is one of my favorite. It has so many elements that I like.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like I don't know the word I'm looking for. At a place. I'm on her wiki now, and I mean she's got all sorts of rumors. There's rumors she stayed in South America, fell in love with a guy, and then was killed in a shootout about that guy. There's suicide rumors later in Argentina. There's rumors about Oregon for her. So I think we need more on A, was it a love triangle? What happened there? And then B, what happened to her? There's San Francisco rumors. It's all over the board.
She was sleeping with both of them, but they both knew and didn't care.
Sure.
That's like Outlaw Life 101. I'm into it. She looks bad in this picture. Nah, still kind of like feels like you look at her and you're like, yeah, she could be good. She could clean up nice. I'm a fan of everyone in this story. It does feel too Disney. Oh, they didn't kill anyone. Oh, they didn't hurt anyone. Oh, they wanted to go good life. They survived and lived happily ever after, and no one came after them. But I believe all of it.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm a sucker.
No, and you could do it pretty well, right? I mean, Mike Cassidy or whoever we stole all this from, Mike Cassidy maybe pushed him in the right direction, but, he misses out on, he is great at robbing banks, but you're going to miss out on, raising a family and a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Having less of a jawline.
Yeah. Noah? Thoughts?
He lived. I'm convinced.
He lived. The boy lived.
Luke, you think he lived?
Yeah, I think he lives. I agree with Jake, too. I feel like the girl is the missing link there. Find out what happened to her to find out what happened to them.
Like, that's what's so bizarre to me. Like, 2 guys found dead in the shootout. Okay.
And they killed themselves.
Missing a person.
Yeah, that whole story just doesn't, not even an option in my head anymore.
Doesn't fit the bill.
Yeah.
That's a term. All right. I mean, I love that story. If anyone has some info out there, if you've seen him walking around,
yeah,
blows my mind. Like I just finished Wild Bill, the book, and they're like, yeah, he lived to be until 1945, and I'm like, fucking, that's so different than 1870 when he was robbing and going from cowtown to cowtown.
Different times.
Like such a boom to live through that.
I'm going through it now. Internet, man.
The internet, yeah, people will look back on pre-internet and post-internet in the same light, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. See you guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. Go
Tweet
follow
at our Twitter.
Yes. Tweet at our Twitter for
Tweet at our
ideas, little laughs ideas, anything funny you see, anything pertaining to history. Twitter and Instagram are going to be active and fun and all of that. Outro music. Ramp up.